Hello and welcome to Faith, Friends, and Hustle, a podcast where my friends and I share stories, insights, and practical tips on faith, relationships, and ambition. Today it's just me. I wanted to do an episode on my reflection and thoughts on 2024. For me, 2024 was amazing in so many ways. I seen God working both in the conversations I had, uh, in the works that I've seen people do around me and through the church. So really blessed in the way that 2024 turned out spiritually and in my faith formation. But I also would be remiss without mentioning that it was equally challenging, both on the personal and business front. As growth goes, it can be tough. And there is a passage of scripture that I had read throughout the year that I continued to come back to, and I wanted to share that with you today. And that scripture is Matthew 7:13 through 14. And again, this is ESV, but it's Matthew 7:13 through 14. Enter by the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the way is easy that leads to destruction. And those who enter by it are many. For the gate is narrow and the way is hard that leads to light. And those who find it are few. I absolutely love that piece of the scripture. We know as followers and believers that we are called to live a life that represents Jesus, that is God honoring, so that we can become more like Jesus in our formation and when we can go through. We also know that Jesus is the only way, and he is the salvation and the hope that we can trust in. And it's very easy as we look and reflect to have these beliefs, to say we're believers, but to follow, to be obedient is a whole nother conversation to have. And that gate is very narrow. And it's much easier to look at the world and the wide gate that appears to be accepting, but honestly leads to destruction, leads to us being separated even further from God. It also, on a different level, hit me with my business and where I was looking at. Because again, you'll look around and it was very easy on paths or on ways or to see what others were doing and want to go down through that gate and down that wider way to make money and to grow. But as I reflected and went through, really narrowing down my business vision, what I wanted it to look like, and the core values that I run my business from, well, that narrows the gate and it makes the path a little bit harder and presents challenges that it had. And one of my reflection points throughout the year, I recalled when I had completed a Warrior Dash, and I think it was in 2019. And to be honest, I was in the best shape, I think, of my life. However, I was still not prepared for what I was going to encounter and the challenges that were going to be presented to me as we went through and completed this Warrior Dash. So we signed up, and you got to see a little preview of all the different obstacles that they had planted. Well, the one I was most nervous about was a wall. And I don't know, this thing looked like it was maybe 8 to 10 foot tall. Maybe it was a little bit taller than that. I'm not sure. But either way, I get really nervous, sweaty, and lightheaded when anything comes to heights. So after talking myself into being confident enough to complete the run and the other obstacles, I thought, boy, now midway through, I'm going to have to climb this wall with people watching and looking. I wonder how this is going to turn out. Should be interesting. So we run, we go through. Thankfully, I was with an amazing team, two other people that were with me, that supported me, that slowed up with me when I was slowing down and breathing and jogged. So it was awesome to be pushed and to have that fellowship with me as I completed this. So we get to the wall, and the first thing I do is just start to panic. There's a line to go up it, but I just remember calling that this wall was standing in the way of what I wanted to achieve. right? And it was something so simple and so small. And would I allow my excuses to be greater than my desire to achieve? And I went over the wall. It was amazing experience to be able to do that. I know it may simple or small, but for me, it was everything in that moment to be able to do that, to prove to myself that I can. And it's just like our walk with the Lord, whether it's business, whether it's in relationships, whether it's personal. We are called to do hard things as believers. And James talks about these trials and tribulations and faith formation that happens, and faith without works. And it has nothing to do with our salvation, but it does have to do with our relationship with Christ and becoming more like Christ. And that can be tough. So as I went through and reflected, I keep this scripture on my mind. It is in my heart because the reward is so great by taking the narrow gate and the harder path. So be encouraged. Look in your business as you set goals and look onward in 2025. I pray that each and every one of you figure out where in your life, both professionally and personally, that maybe you're taking the wider gate. And we need to really look to scripture and identify what is the path I should be on and what is Christ calling me to do. And then the second thing, I pray that just like in that Warrior Dash and in my life currently, you find a group of people that can support you, that will tell you the truth, that I will love with you. Proverbs 11:14 says, where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in abundance of counselors, there is safety. So find those counselors in your life that you give them permission to speak into your life, that share the same values, that share the same beliefs as you, that can give you good biblical counsel. Also, let Christ lead in your life. Let him be the head counselor through prayer and meditation. Don't forget to take the time not only to ask and to dump our request on the Lord, but to listen, right? To have that quiet time and meditate on his word as when it goes through. So again, I know the gate can feel very narrow, the path very hard, but our reward is great. And what we're looking to do for the kingdom is well worth it. So I hope you had time to reflect on 2024. I hope you're excited about 2025. We'll talk to you next time.